Guten Tag and welcome to das Frankfurt International Flughafen, where I have just arrived from Copenhagen in Denmark. Find out how I got here today in this week's video as I fly in Lufthansa's inter-European business class.
Here we go now. Fat man scoop on the mic. Mixing the mix on the wheels of steel. This is what I was fucking born to do. Let's go.
When I was originally planning my trip to Europe approximately 6 months prior to this video's filming, I did not expect to be flying out of Copenhagen, as my original intention was to fly in and out of Stockholm in Sweden, but as I was booking this particular flight, I accidentally selected Copenhagen, meaning I had to somehow find myself in this city on this day. Copenhagen, or in English, Copenhagen, is the largest city of Denmark, known for its many canals, royal history, green and sustainable living, as well as an Australian queen. The city is a mix of modern architecture and culture, offering a mix of different activities and delicious food. As expected, much like the majority of Europe, everywhere you look, there is a cyclist passing by. Interestingly, this city is also ranked the world's top cycling city, which I initially thought was Amsterdam. Copenhagen Kastrup Airport is located 7 kilometers to the southeast of the city's main railway station, and is the largest airport in any Nordic country, serving well over 30 million passengers annually. The airport is also a primary hub for SAS and D-AIZY, as well as a focus city for Air Greenland and Finnair, both of which I tried to fly on this visit to Europe, only one of which was successful. After a quick Uber ride from the city, I was dropped off just outside of Terminal 2, which is where Lufthansa operates from. Check-in for Lufthansa is found at Terminal 2, roughly in the center of the building. Lufthansa's check-in lanes are not just for Lufthansa, but all of the Lufthansa Group airlines, including Austrian, Swiss, and Brussels Airlines. Not only that, interestingly, the business class lane and the economy class lane are split with other airlines in between. A rather interesting design and not something that I'm used to back at home. Check-in was very quick and easy. Because I was connecting in Frankfurt to Singapore, this would be the last time I'd see my bag for nearly 24 hours. Once my bag had been sent on its way, I was invited to the SAS business class lounge to relax before my flight. However, prior to this was security and immigration. If you are not already aware, the European Union, or EU, has abolished border control and passport checks, meaning all international flights between the European Union nations are operated as if they are domestic flights. This allows for free movement between 27 countries without the need of passports. Because I am Australian, however, I am required to carry a passport. However, if I were a European citizen, all I would need would be a driver's license, which I think is pretty cool. Post-security is the usual duty-free shopping filled with an assortment of liquor, chocolates, perfume and watches. Copenhagen Airport unfortunately does not offer a bypass service, meaning that all passengers are required to pass through duty-free to get to the gates. This also had the unfortunate side effect of making the duty-free area very crowded and rather awkward to film, so I opted to wait until I had cleared the area. Copenhagen Airport is shaped like a sideways E, with many piers facing south. Each pier is sectioned based on destination. Whether this is true or not is debatable, as this is based off what I saw on the day I was there. No visit to Denmark wouldn't be complete without a quick visit to the Lego store, which, if you didn't know, Lego is originally from Denmark, having been around since the 1930s. Lufthansa uses the SAS business class lounge for its operations here at Copenhagen, which is located in Pier C. This lounge is only available to Euro Bonus Diamond and Gold members, as well as the Sky Team Plus travelers, presenting a boarding pass with an SAS-operated flight or a Sky Team partner. Interestingly, Lufthansa is not part of any of these, so it's a bit peculiar why they would be using the SAS lounge. Upon entering, a lounge attendant will usher you either upstairs or downstairs, depending on your status. As I held a business class ticket, I was given free access to the entire lounge. The lounge is split into 2 major sides on both levels. The main side includes a vast selection of seatings and a small buffet, whilst the other side is a much quieter area with floor-to-ceiling windows, albeit with a view of the pick-up and drop-off part of the terminal, and not the airfield. There are dedicated children rooms, as well as conference rooms and a spa-like relax station. all of which are on a first-come, first-served basis. As I entered the lounge during the tail end of the breakfast service, a brunch service was currently on offer, including breads, cold meats, cereals, and grains, and by far the best, pancakes, which I decided to have with some raspberry compote and maple syrup. Later, I decided on some scones, one savoury with pesto and the other sweet with some more of the amazing raspberry compote. I was also persuaded by a lounge attendant to try some of the Danish biscuits, which were awesome. As breakfast turned into lunch, a lot more savoury items began appearing, such as pate, curry, and a Greek salad. One thing that caught my eye were the cinnamon and apple pastries, which looked divine. Bathrooms are made available all throughout the lounge, with showers included as well. Something I didn't know whilst I was visiting is that the lounge also features 2 cabanas with beds, perfect for a long or overnight layover. Unfortunately, my time in this lounge had come to its end, as boarding for today's flight was just around the corner. One final comment I have to make about this lounge is that there are no announcements made, so make sure you keep an eye on the clock. One major downside to the lounge is its location relative to the Alpha Pier, taking a staggering 15 minutes to walk to the end of the pier.
1, 2. From the top, let's go. Right, here we go now. Batman scoop on the mic, mix in the mix on the wheels of steel. This is what I was fucking.
Upon arriving at the gate, waiting outside was the aircraft about to take me southward, which today is an Airbus A320-200 registered as Delta Alpha India Zulu Yankee. Construction of this airframe was completed at Airbus's final assembly line in Toulouse, France in August of 2013, making this aircraft 11.5 years old. Boarding commenced shortly after I had arrived, commencing first with business class and then by section for economy. Lufthansa's A320s have 2 different configurations depending on the age of the aircraft. This particular aircraft has a dynamic business class cabin, so for the sake of simplicity, today's flight has 12 business class seats in a 2-2 layout, with the middle seats being blocked, and 156 economy class seats in a 3-3 layout. Lufthansa has opted for the Recaro BL3520 neck slimline seat, and this afternoon I shall be seated in 2 Alpha on the port side of the aircraft. The business class seat, if you could call it business, has 29.8 inches or 75.5 centimeters of pitch and 17.7 inches or 45 centimeters of width. There is a standard tray table that folds down and extends towards you. In the seat back pocket you'll find a safety card, buy on board menu, and an in-flight magazine. Above are individual reading lights, air vents, and 2 flight attendant call buttons.
Let's go.
Soon we commenced our pushback from gate 14, 2 minutes ahead of our scheduled departure time. We taxied to runway 22 right via Yankee, Mike, Zulu, Alpha and Alpha 1.
Cabin crew, prepare for departure.
Now please enjoy this unedited takeoff. After takeoff, we continued straight out, climbing over the Sound, setting up a southerly course for Frankfurt. Flight time today is 1 hour and 7 minutes, covering a distance of 478 miles or 769 kilometers, cruising at 36,000 feet. The first city visible today, excluding of course Copenhagen, was Storhedinge, just up the road from the UNESCO Stevens Klint site. Lufthansa offers high-speed Wi-Fi on board many of its flights, this flight included, through its Flynet service powered by Inmarsat GX. Messaging is complimentary for business class passengers, however for everyone else it comes at a cost. The Wi-Fi is very easily connectable after scanning a QR code on the back of the seat in front. As the crew began preparing their in-flight service, down below was the Danish city of Nykøbing Falster, which sits on the Gorbutsen Strait. Whilst the crew were preparing lunch, small menus were handed out, both in English and German. Please pause the video to view today's menu choices in more detail. Initially, a round of drinks was served, and I asked for a mimosa or orange juice and champagne, which was really good. This was then followed by lunch. On offer today was an orecchiette pasta salad with walnuts and tomato. The side dishes were a soft bread roll with butter, that I forgot to film, and a tarte de truffon with red currants, which is basically a chocolate mousse. On board the aircraft are 3 bathrooms, one at the front for business and 2 at the back for economy. Inside is everything you would typically come to expect for this aircraft type, including the Lufthansa branded hand soap and a baby changing station. Just prior to landing, the crew handed out these cute little boxes to passengers, and inside was a single piece of chocolate, which was incredibly smooth milk chocolate with a rich coffee flavour. Soon we commenced our descent into Frankfurt. Unfortunately, the weather in northern Germany today was incredibly British. Therefore, there wasn't much to be seen until after we had passed the German city of Kassel. Once the clouds dissipated, I was able to clearly see the Rhine River and Frankfurt itself, which, despite not having the best weather today, was absolutely stunning. During descent, another passenger, specifically the one seated in front of me, noticed that I was filming, and was puzzled as to why I was filming, claiming this flight is as boring as it can be. I explained exactly what I do, and he was rather intrigued. Just before landing, he did tell me that Lufthansa offers a complimentary car service to all passengers in business class above a certain tier level, and he offered to give me a lift back to the terminal, maximizing the amount of time I would have in Frankfurt, to which I gladly accepted. Now please enjoy this unedited landing. After landing, we taxied back to Terminal 2 via Mike 9, Mike, Tango, and Lima. We pulled into remote stand 112, 13 minutes ahead of our scheduled arrival time. As I stepped off the aircraft, I thanked the crew for the absolutely fantastic service, and I made my way not to the bus, but instead to the private car waiting. The entire drive back to the terminal, I was gobsmacked and very appreciative of the stranger who gave me the opportunity to experience this once-in-a-lifetime service. So, I just flew in Lufthansa's inter-European business class. What are my thoughts? Well, as always, let's start from the beginning. Check-in was flawless, taking only a minute to complete, and the staff were very friendly too. The SAS lounge was very large and had lots of people, therefore it was rather difficult to find a quiet spot. The food, however, was very delicious, though admittedly not as many options as I initially thought there would be. Now the seat. If you are not familiar with this product, it may come as a shock. I came on board this aircraft fully knowing what I was stepping into, so it did not come as a surprise. There is no way I can ever mark this as a good business class seat, as the big recliner chairs seen in the US and Australia will always be superior. The food was relatively light and cold, but totally okay for these type of relatively short flights. Hands down, the best part was the chocolate mousse. And finally, the crew were joyful and enthusiastic about their work, however not so keen about my camera equipment, which was expected for Lufthansa. So, would I recommend you to fly in Lufthansa's inter-European business class? For only $100 more than economy? Well, if you can afford it, why wouldn't you? That is if you don't mind the economy class seat. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you check out the other videos that I have posted if you want to see more. And I have said this before, but I now have a Discord server. Feel free to join. The link can be found at the top of the description. And as always, feel free to press the notification button too, as it will let you know whenever I upload again, which happens every Friday at 8 PM Sydney time. And I hope to see you again in the next one. Auf Wiedersehen!